Hey, John,
Yes, sir.
tell me a story.
Well, you want a you want an embarrassing story or I don't know. I'll give you a story from my childhood. Okay. Um, so I guess I'm not super vocal about it, but I also don't shy away from it. When I was growing up, a large part of my life I grew up without electricity or running water. So we were extremely poor. I was both of my parents struggled with alcoholism and mental illness, and that's kind of what that looked like. So I remember at one point in my life, I was in middle school, and my mother worked at a secondhand store, and we didn't have running water. So we had a bunch of empty milk jugs. And every day I would get out of school, and her work was directly across the street. I would have to go over there where all of the cool kids would go and skateboard. And I would have to fill up all of these jugs of water or all of these empty jugs with water, and we would bring them home and we would use them to do things like flush the toilet and wash dishes and shit like that. And everybody used to make fun of me a lot, and it was really difficult growing up. But over the years, having such a interesting childhood, um, it's taught me to really appreciate the things that I do have, the importance of giving. That's why I'm so community minded. The importance of giving back to people, and yeah, I mean that's I definitely I'll never forget where I came from, and I'm very grateful to be in a position where I am without having to sell myself out, right? I get to do
Well, hold on, because you kind of are. You're like me. You're a bit of a prostitute.
well. I mean that's different, Bill. It's consenting adults.
I make
As long as everybody signs the contract.
right. Yeah, and
Um,
there are definitely NDAs for certain aspects.
right, right. No, but that was one of the crazy things that are quick side shoot. I remember I there was a point when I probably hadn't showered for someplace between 6 months and a year. It was bad, right? And you don't know what it is when you're young and you're going through it. So I was probably like between 13 and 16. And I was at my buddy's house, and I actually have a picture of it, like printed out from like CVS or what have you. And sitting there, and I was like itching my forearm, and like part of my sunburn came off, or like my suntan. It wasn't a tan, like I was covered in dirt, and right, it's super wild. And that was like one of the first times as a child, kind of going through that, where like I thought to myself, like shit, like it's bad, it's bad, like you don't know as a kid, you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I wasn't quite that poor, but I lived in some pretty shady places. There's a series of jokes that I used to tell. Um, that I grew up in an apartment complex that was infested with roaches.
Okay.
And the roach problem was so bad that these motherfuckers would dive bomb you while you were in the shower. Like they
Uh-huh.
did not care. And I would joke that we had a rule in the house that if they could lift it, they could keep it because they would steal food and stuff like paper and whatnot. And we lost a TV that way once. I heard "I Love Lucy" in the walls, and I was like, damn it.
Son of a bitch.
But the wild thing was though is like, you know, you're right. As a kid, you're like, this isn't this is normal, but it doesn't seem wrong, you know.
Well, maybe that it's not normal, or it's like that it's not right,
Yeah,
but not to the extent or degree that maybe it is.
it was
Right?
also
Like, no, go ahead.
oh, I was to say it was also the first incident that I had ever found out what the chemical borax was.
Oh yeah.
Because my stepfather had covered, like it just looked like a blue cocaine orgy had taken place in my kitchen that night. And when we woke up the next morning, it was just a field of dead roaches everywhere.
Wow.
And what had happened was is it was actually the neighbor's apartment that was super infested. And like I said, I grew up poor, Not as bad as what you say, but yeah, like you say, you know something's off, but you can't quite put your finger on it.
Well, you're too close to it, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have a comparison because as a child, like that's like all you know is what you know. I guess the same thing for as an adult, right? Like all we know is our experiences
Yeah.
and what we the headlines we read on Facebook.
Because you
Right?
can trust them.
I mean, I do. That's where I get my news. Um, but yeah, I looking back on that, like it was a terrible situation, but going through it, like I don't know, kids are they're resilient, you know.
Yeah. And it looks like you're doing your part to give your kids a better life. So
Yeah, definitely trying. That's why I'm heavily involved with stuff to do with children. I just recently joined a one of the schools, one of their college prep classes. I'm now sitting on their advisory board for audio video for AV actually.
you need a
Um,
better microphone then.
yeah, right.
No one's going to take you seriously.